What's up? Fresh pots. Got a glaze kiln unloading. So this video is going to be about 20 minutes long or so. I'm going to pull some fresh pots out of the kiln, kind of talk about what inspires the pieces, what processes I used to create mostly mugs in this kiln firing, some dinner plates. There might be a toddler walking around in the back. Hi. So let's get to it. Hi there. All right, so this was a cone 9 firing, which is about 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. And most of them are in this Nuka glaze. I call it Nuka, which means it's a Japanese word. I don't exactly know what it means, but it has ashes in the glaze. So about 20% of this glaze is wood ash that I get from friends who heat their homes or shops with wood burning stoves, which is really common here in Minnesota. And the ash is what gives this rustic qualities. This ash material, what's going on over there, gives the glaze really rustic qualities, like this transparency. This is the ash glaze, and the top is iron oxide. Iron interacts with the ashes, and it's giving it a transparency, and then kind of a matte surface, and then this golden yellows. And that's the magic ingredient here. When you see green, that's copper. So iron, copper. What I did was I brushed iron oxide mixed with water on the rim, and I brushed copper carbonate mixed with water just below the iron. Then I dip in the ash glaze, and it all runs vertically down this way, mixing with the metal oxides. You're good. You're in the video, but you're good. So on a little piece like this, on a mug like this, you'll see I brushed iron. Where it's thicker, it turns darker brown. Where it's thinner, it's kind of a golden yellow. And then I brushed copper right in between, or I brushed iron and then copper surrounding it. Or this one was the opposite. I brushed copper and then iron surrounding it, and a little bit of iron, a little bit of copper. So I'm playing with those materials. You know, this one I brushed up and down in a thinner coat, got a little thicker, and then brushed copper underneath. Then these marks are from my fingers, from dipping the pot down in the ash glaze, and then the signature is iron oxide. You gonna do some swinging? Have fun.
Every day.
Out to the playground. We have a baby in the studio. Every day. Well, a toddler now, actually. That has been a challenge, making pots with a toddler in the studio. Looks like we're 3 minutes into this video. This song is by Paul Spring, paulspringmusic.com. I've got some of his music playing, and so I might just let some of it play, and then I'm gonna pull pots out and talk about some of them. If you have questions, leave a comment, and I'll go through and try to answer as many as I can after I post this video. So this is interesting. This pot is essentially the same process as this, where I brushed iron, dipped in Nuka, but what happened was I forgot to put my signature on, so I needed to refire these again. Well, in refiring them, sometimes I'll get this bubbling texture that's not very nice. So what I do to prevent that, I came up with a way of, I take the finished pot, I mean, essentially imagine this piece, just like it is now, finished, dip it in glaze again, pour a black glaze and dip it in a black glaze, and then I set it upside down and let it dry out in the sun, because it's not absorbent, but the glaze will stick to the outside a little bit. It's like a thin coating of a black glaze. And then, after it's dry, I put it back in the kiln and fire it a third time. These pots have all been fired twice. This one was fired 3 times. And that black glaze sticks to the surface enough where it melts and creates this dark blue. Sometimes it's a light blue, but it makes it so there's no bubbling of any kind with the additional firing, and it's this beautiful fluxy surface. So there's 3 of those in the kiln. That last time I forgot to sign them, so I signed them with iron oxide and then dipped them in the third coating of glaze for a third firing, and they turned out beautifully. Pots tend to get darker when you refire them, and you can refire them 4, 5, 6 times, but eventually they'll start to crack if you continue to do that as they go up and down to 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit and back down. And they'll get darker and they'll crack apart if you continue to do that. So, but 3 firings, I found no difference in durability. Just like I said, the bubbling in the glaze that can happen, but that's why I added this glaze, and they look awesome. So I'm gonna get a board, I'm gonna count. There's not too many pots in this firing, it should be done in about 20 minutes. And then there's some dinner plates as well. I'm excited to see dinner plates and mugs. So let me grab a board to unload. $20 so far. This is the first time I've done a mountain mug with this black glaze. I tried to put some Nuka on top, but it disappeared because I put it on too thin. And I think I need to wipe off more to get a more defined. It's better in person than through the video here, but I could make the horizon landscape more defined. So I think I would do that again if I decide to do this color combo again. A night mountain mug. So that was an experiment that didn't quite work out. These are nice. Inspired by asteroid or lunar surfaces. And I don't know why I put the red on there. I just wanted to experiment with more colors, because planetary geology is actually quite colorful when you look at the whole spectrum of how they photograph things, how NASA photographs landscapes. They're richly colored. Maybe not this colorful, but this is my art, so I get to decide. The top and bottom, and then more random. So we'll photograph these and put them on CherricoPottery.com. Maybe today. And this is what I send to patrons. This is my standard Asteroid cup is what I call it. Lots of iron. Beautiful. Oh, this one's interesting. I actually dipped this in a very thin, light blue glaze first. Very thin wash of blue. So if you look at it, compared to my standard one, I'm not sure if you can see it in the camera, but this has a very thin, light blue color. It's almost invisible, but if you look closely, it's slightly different. But the blue should have been thicker. I mean, it almost disappeared. So I'm not sure if you can even make out the subtleties of blue. So if I do that again, I would do it much thicker.
First place I go is that shoreline where they don't build houses and don't allow boats, and I hold my breath underwater for
It's a little bit of copper in the middle there that's creating this iridescence. This is a pattern I started doing a long time ago. I don't really know why. Just this spiral and wave. It just seems to fit well with the movement of the walls back and forth and the drips down. So we'll take the time to photograph most of these. them on our store.
Opens at 9, closes at 4.
It's fun to make all these different shapes. Ten more, so 30 pots so far.
Some drive by slow, dropping their flowers. Some stay for a while, talking with strange powers. No glue, no
So these are dinner plates made to be stackable. Perfect. Well, look at all that green there. Wow. It's hard to see in the camera, but this is called a semi-gloss surface. So anywhere it starts to turn matte, like a dry versus glossy, is a crystal growing in the glaze. They're called microcrystals. And as the glaze cools, sometimes microcrystals grow, and enough of them, if they grow, the whole surface will be dry, but this is like in between. It's like a little bit glossy and a little bit, it looks like snowflakes almost, with how the dots of microcrystals grow. And you can't really see it unless you really look in the light, and you can feel the difference too. That's again because of the ashes in the glaze. Also, there's little yellow speckles. Those are imperfections from the ashes in the glaze. Can you see these yellow speckles like that? So that's when you use raw materials, wild, unpredictable things happen, which is why I love using the wood ash in this glaze. These are getting a little too hot for me to handle because the kiln is still warm. So I'm gonna get some gloves. But even with all this variation and all these color experimentations, they're still 100% dishwasher and microwave safe. As I said on the surface, this is from iron oxide and the green is from copper. These are metals, and what happens when you put metal in a microwave, like a metal fork? Don't do that, right? But I've heard, from my own independent testing, 99.9% of my pottery has been microwave safe still. Even when I put 24 karat gold on the thumb spot of some of my moon mugs, it still doesn't spark in the microwave. I have seen it spark in the microwave before, but only because of cobalt, which I'm not really using very much of these days for human rights issues, which is really interesting that the fusing of the metal with the silica doesn't cause problems in the microwave. So I say that they're microwave safe on my brochures, but I have language in there that says because experimental colors, our independent testing has found that 99.99% do not spark in the microwave, and are just fine, but I can't guarantee that they're not going to do a slight spark in the microwave sometimes, even though I haven't seen it and I have yet to have a customer discover it either. I always recommend if you want to microwave it, you can test it, just put it in for 5 seconds on high and see what happens. And I haven't seen any sparking, even though they are metals that give you colors in pottery, which is interesting. Yeah, like the outside of this is iron oxide, and this is a combination of, I think it's iron and chrome, or chromium. The red, I'm not sure. The red is proprietary that I've never been able to mix a custom red. I get it from a stain company called Mason Stains, which makes ceramic stains. But the iron is interesting because the planet Mars is also this rust iron color because the elements on the planet Mars is iron that gives it that color. So that's interesting that the same iron oxide gives it this color in pottery as well. Looks kind of like one of the moons of Mars, Phobos or Deimos. These are for patrons at our $5 tier, the Asteroid cup. Next, the pots go over to this side of the kiln room where they get polished and sanded. A little bit of blue there. It's hard to see in the video. Right there, just a little subtle blue. Need to go thicker next time. This one was an experiment. Looks like a cloudy mountain landscape. You can barely see with a circle sponge I made like a sun or a moon. Even just to apply color right there and the blue there, it's just little extra details. Thinly washed. Yeah, that's semi-gloss. It's like snowflakes. This is the jewel. I'm gonna keep this for my personal collection. The jewel of this firing. Pretty cool. Wow. That was a good one. If you have any more pottery questions, feel free to leave a comment and I'll go through and answer as many as I can. Looks like we got one more shelf below this. This is a good song. Thunderhead by Paul Spring. 47 pots. The thin wash of blue underneath. Go in on the inside. And mountain mugs. I love how this turns orange a little bit That's just the clay naturally turning that color when I took a sponge. So I dipped this. First I brushed a black stain on this mountain texture. I carved it in the clay when it was wet, fired it. Then I brushed a black stain meticulously all over this mountain texture. Then I dipped the whole, and then, actually the black stain, and then I put blue. I dabbed some blue with a sponge meticulously to represent kind of clouds and blue sky. And then I dipped it in the Nuka ash glaze, poured on the inside, dipped on the outside, and then took a circular sponge and twisted a little bit on a stick, sponge on a stick, and it made this with water, wet sponge, twisted and turned, and made this circular moon or sun by removing Nuka glaze and blue glaze. By removing it, it turned orange for whatever reason. There's no glaze on the bottom, because otherwise it would stick to the shelf. So that's the color of the clay with black stain over it, and that's the color of the clay surrounded by Nuka. It changes the clay to an orange color. The only spot you can see the clay on this mug is right here and right there. Is that interesting? And they're two different colors. And in person you can feel it, because that's glossy and that's dry as well. You can see it's slightly raised where the glaze is thicker on the surface than right here. It's not like I took orange color and put orange on there. No, it's something else happening. Pottery is more intricate in that way. That one's inspired by Mount Fuji, where I've spent some time a long time ago. Sometimes I'll brush iron on the rim. Sometimes I'll do it just below the rim, starting by a handle and finishing by a handle, leaving a little bit of space in between there, and then putting more on the thumb spot. And this one has a spiral of iron on the inside as well. I think the mugs are more dynamic when you just play with those different elements, and like this one, I put a little bit of blue in there as well, and there are points at which the clay bends inward where I impressed in the clay when it was soft. Ooh, that's nice. Hard to see on camera, but there's some blue in between on the thumb spot and below the thumb spot. That's nice. And then this one, and this one, same thing except green instead of blue. Copper green on the thumb. So we'll get detailed photos of all these for our website, where they'll be available today or tomorrow. Ooh, that's nice. So I took the same glaze that's underneath the moon mugs. It's a black stain actually, and tested that. It's like a very nice, subtle, not too much color. Even a little bit on the inside, underneath the glaze. Very subtle and simple. And here it is with blue, only blue. That was thick enough. I don't want it too thick. I wanted it to be very light. Although now I kind of want to see one that's totally engulfed in blue. Copper, iron, iron, iron. That's a lot of iron. Cool. All right, that's it. 47 pots. Now I've got some sanding and inspecting to do. Got the studio all cleaned up because we're giving a tour to some students later. Thanks for watching. Those will be available on cherricopottery.com pretty soon. cherricopottery.com/newsletter to get notified when they're available. And Patreon at Cherrico Pottery to get a discount. Okay, thanks for watching. Peace out.